So far, the only Mad Max characters I've discussed were from Furiosa, and since the majority of them die in the film, there wasn't much of a chance to talk about how they carry on to Fury Road. However, the organic mechanic actually shows up in both, having a small but memorable presence as a doctor, not a warrior. His name matches the dehumanizing way people are perceived by the warlords of the Mad Max universe, especially Immortan Joe. He isn't seen as a medic, but someone to tinker with biological machines, just tools to do the bidding of the most powerful. Like a lot of names, it could also just be his official title, like Smeg or Praetorian, and some of the war boys even just refer to him as Organic for short. Whatever it may be, the organic mechanic is a highly valued individual, mainly from the fact that we don't see anyone else's medical training in the Mad Max universe. Obviously, he isn't giving the most high quality healthcare, but anyone with any kind of medical expertise is sought after to care for injured people, especially when so many are sickly from the diseases of the radioactive wasteland. He proudly described himself as an expert in all things therapeutic, and we see him handle everything from delivering babies to healing soldiers. Ironically though, it's never stated if he actually was a doctor, as he might have just worked in a similar field. One theory I saw was that he was a mortician, which would fit well with his personality and the overall aesthetic of Mad Max. For his outfit, the organic mechanic wears a large leather apron, matching what a mechanic or even a butcher would wear, showing his lack of empathy for those he fixes. He has big goggles like a welder, leaning into the mechanic motif, and a surgical bandolier full of medical tools like scalpels, syringes, and forceps instead of ammo. His fingerless gloves allow him to feel exactly what he's operating on. In Furiosa, his clothes appear somewhat put together and maintained, but after joining Immortan Joe, they become dirty and well-worn. He grows spoiled under the Immortans' rule, even putting on weight at the end of Furiosa by being well fed by the abundance of food. Earlier sketches of the organic mechanic were even nastier. His design was far more bloody, with a bag of what he referred to as offcuts from people he operated on, that he would keep as trophies or to trade. Additionally, he had a ton of human hair ties and rope, illustrating his mentality that nothing goes to waste. Part of his apron was even made out of human hide. Some of the organic mechanic's sadistic tendencies almost made it to screen, since there was a deleted scene in Fury Road of him torturing Miss Giddy by cutting her with a scalpel to get information out of her. When he worked for Dementis, he actually had his own vehicle, and oftentimes transported the History Man around, as opposed to how he seemingly kept at the Citadel at all times for the Immortan Joe, instead of roaming around. Dementis didn't seem to fully appreciate the organic's use, as he doesn't protest in the slightest when Joe takes him as a bargaining chip. Organic Mechanic even looks a bit betrayed after the trade happens. While he has a full head of hair in Furiosa, it's become patchy by the time of Fury Road. According to actor Angus Sampson, it's because Organic pulls them out to use them as stitches on his patients. Additionally, he has a tally on his body of all Immortan heirs that didn't survive childbirth. A really interesting detail is that he has a tattoo of Charles Darwin's Tree of Evolution sketch on his arm, a more scientific image that contrasts with Immortan Joe's fantastical religion. It makes sense that he wouldn't be a practitioner of the cult of the V8, since he also refers to Immortan Joe in a very casual and arrogant way, calling him either Joe or boss. He knows how valuable he is, as I doubt the Immortan would let most people speak to him as Organic does, especially when referring to his unborn son and messing with the umbilical cord, while telling Rictus he lost a baby brother. He's also important enough to be one of the passengers aboard the Giga Horse. He has a wide variety of roles under both warlords, and during his time with Dementis, he worked as his personal chef, preparing all sorts of disturbing meals, like human blood sausage and blood pudding. Organic didn't keep that role with Immortan Joe, who had access to more natural sources of food like plants. Organic could fix injuries to the best of his abilities, and was able to tell how healthy someone was, which allowed Dementis to use a full life as a bargaining chip. His main duty for Immortan Joe is delivering babies, and it's here we see his constant lack of sympathy for human life, with how he disregards them when they don't come out alive. The Organic Mechanic also looks over the younger war boys to see how long they will live as soldiers, since most of them suffer from diseases that will greatly shorten their lifespans. He's in charge of giving the war boys blood from the blood bags, which are captives they've taken across the wasteland to use as human batteries. We see the Organic tattoo their backs with medical information, everything from height and weight to blood type and level of what they refer to as high-octane blood. It further shows how people are commodified within the wasteland. While we don't see the Organic Mechanic's final fate, there's a deleted scene where Immortan Joe's armada leaves him behind when he's defecating in the desert underneath the Giga Horse monster truck, and he chases after the army with his pants down. It's possible he died with no way of getting back to the Citadel. However, George Miller preferred the idea that the audience never sees what happens to him, meaning the Organic Mechanic could still roam the desert as the Doctor of the Wasteland. I thought the Octoboss video would be my last Mad Max one for a while, but I really do enjoy this world, so there's a few more characters I would still love to cover. Next one would be the History Man.